Hey young friends, Dr. Bill here. As always, I am really glad that you've chosen to spend a few moments with me as we continue to work our way through the big names in the Bible. Over the last few months, we have focused on Jesus, and in particularly, we have focused on the things that Jesus did. We paid attention to how Jesus acted and lived in this world. But now, for the next little bit, we're going to focus on the things that Jesus said, what he communicated to us in terms of teaching, instruction, telling us how he wanted us to live and behave in this world. We're going to begin by focusing on one of the most famous passages of Jesus' teaching in the New Testament, and that's what we know as the Sermon on the Mount. It's found in Matthew chapters 5, 6, and 7. And so today we're going to focus on a few of what we call the beatitudes. Jesus begins each of these sayings with the word, "Blessed are you," or "Happy are you," "Congratulations." The idea is that we're on the right track if we live out these things that Jesus taught in the Beatitudes. To get us started, let me read them for you. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Now, perhaps the best way of understanding these Beatitudes is to think about a staircase. Maybe you have some stairs at your house, or maybe you have stairs at your school, and you know how stairs work. In order to get from the bottom to the top, we have to go from one step to the other. We have to go from here to here to here to here until we reach where we want to be. And the Beatitudes are very much like a staircase, a set of stairs. We start in one place, and it's the first step taking us to where we want to be or to where God wants us to be. Let me see if I can explain that for you. Jesus begins by saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." Now, what he means by that are we are happy, or we're on our way, we're taking the first step when we recognize that we have needs that we can't fix. I am poor in spirit when I recognize I don't have the resources I need to live as God wants me to live. I am impoverished. I recognize that I don't have everything that I need. And then the next step is to mourn. And that means that we are sorrowful about the fact that we have a great need. We grieve the fact that we can't fix ourselves. But in grieving or mourning, we get ourselves ready to live into what God wants us to be and what God wants us to do. By mourning, I say, boy, I am sorry that I just don't have my act together. And then the next is, blessed are the meek. Now, meek is not really a popular word with us. We tend to think of somebody as meek. They're timid, they're cowardly, they're afraid, they don't really step up. Maybe they're way too shy. That is not what Jesus had in mind. By meek, Jesus meant by meek is that we suddenly realize that the only way forward is not to trust in ourselves, but it's to trust in God. So when I'm meek, what I'm doing is I am making room for God in my life so that my life is not just filled with me, it's it's where I began to realize I need to trust God and not trust in myself. And that gets us ready for the next step. Once we moved on from being meek, well then Jesus says, blessed are those who are hungry and thirsty for righteousness. Now we all know what it means to be hungry and thirsty, don't we? I mean, we can say, boy, I really am hungry for a piece of pizza. Or, man, I would really like to have an ice cold Coke right now. Hungry, thirsty, that's what we want. Well, when Jesus says, blessed are those who are hungry and thirsty for righteousness, what he means is you're on your way. You've taken another step when you're hungry and you want what God wants for this world. And what God wants for this world is for right to be the way of life. Not wrong, not evil. We want right to triumph, to be number one in this world. And that takes us to the next step. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain or receive mercy. Now, by saying this, Jesus was articulating something we already know. And that is, oftentimes, to receive something, we have to let go of something. So, for example, say you want to play a musical instrument and you really want that. Well, if that's the case, you understand that you have to let go of some of your other activities so that you can practice and be a good musician. We could say the same thing about being an athlete, whether it's in football, basketball, baseball, who knows. Well, the idea here is if we're merciful, by showing mercy to others, we make room in our lives to receive mercy. By making room in our lives, by being kind to others, well, we create a space within us for God to show us His mercy and His kindness. And then the next step is, blessed are the pure in heart. Now what that means is that, not that we're perfect, that we're all pure, but it means that we're focused, we're disciplined on one and giving attention to one thing and one thing only. To be pure in heart means that we're focused on God and God alone. That what we're after in this world is what God wants for this world. And when we give ourselves to that, well then our eyes get opened and we begin to see where God is at work. And then the final step, or we might say the top step of the staircase, is blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Maybe someone has told you, you look like your mom, or you look like your dad. In other words, they're saying there's a strong resemblance between you and one of your parents. And that's the idea here. Jesus says when we are making peace, well, then we're doing what God does. And when we do that, we show that we're part of God's family. By making peace, we're pursuing God's kind of activity in this world, and people can't help but notice the family resemblance. So again, think of the Beatitudes as a staircase. We begin at the bottom by recognizing we have a need. We mourn the fact that we can't fix it ourselves. And then we move from trusting ourselves to trusting God. And then once we do that, we start to find that we want the kind of things that God wants in this world. And when we start showing mercy to others, well, then we put ourselves in a better place to receive mercy. And when we're focused primarily on God and God alone, well, then our eyes are opened and we can see God. And then by the way that we live, others will see that we are God's children indeed. They can see the family resemblance. Well, that's a lot to chew on for today. So if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Be glad to talk to you anytime, anywhere. In the meantime, I wish you well and hope and pray the rest of this week goes extraordinarily well for you. You take care. God bless, and I'll see you the next time we get together. Bye-bye.